Good morning, televiewers of my Media Prime Television, and happy weekend from this end. You're on to your favorite bilingual program, The Brief, which is always dedicated to the review of striking headlines in the papers. On today's edition of the program, the very last for the week, the newspapers are focusing on the visit of Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, to Yagwa in the far north region of the country to give assistance, or President Paul Biya's assistance to floods victims in that part of the country. Territorial boss was there recently to share President Paul Biya's humanitarian or gifts that consisted of other basic stuffs that will help those who were displaced by floods to have shelter for a moment before things come back to normal. We shall dwell on that this morning, and also the collateral damage over there in Kumba, Meme division of the Southwest region, where the military has blundered when it comes to fishing out Ambazonia fighters in that part of the country. We are told that several Ambazonia fighters who were reportedly seizing cocoa from farmers in that part of the area were reported to the military, and an operation to fish them out finally led to the death of a Nigerian and two of his sons. We shall talk about that this morning, and many other headlines as captured by the newspapers today in Cameroon. Gwladys Bomotonguina is here. Let's have the headlines in the French language newspapers. Bonjour Gwladys. Bonjour
Lasha Kinsley. Bonjour à vous et merci d'être fidèle à cette dernière édition de la semaine de Débrief, votre émission bilingue de revue de presse sur My Media Prime Télévision. Mesdames, Messieurs, ce matin, nous débutons avec l'info à chaud. L'info à chaud ce matin, Mesdames, Messieurs, nous révèle la liste des 915 agents du public qui ont été rayés des effectifs de la fonction publique. C'est du moins l'information que nous relaie ce matin l'info à chaud, une opération de comptage physique du personnel de l'État. La liste donc de ces 915 agents publics rayés des effectifs, c'est dans cette édition de l'info à chaud, de la page 3 à la page 12. Toujours dans le même journal, en page 2, le journal nous parle de la parole aux actes à la Camwater. 500 millions de francs CFA débloqués pour régler ici la dette sociale. Nous continuons, mesdames, messieurs, ce matin avec l'œil du Sahel. L'œil du Sahel nous parle en grand titre de la gratuité de l'école primaire au Cameroun, mais seulement 20 ans après, c'est toujours payant. C'est du moins l'information que nous relaie ce matin l'œil du Sahel à sa page 9. En page 3, le journal nous parle de Boutaz, 4 personnes tuées donc par Boko Haram dans cette partie du pays. En page 9, le journal nous parle d'enseignement supérieur. L'UPAC célèbre donc ses 60 ans. Nous continuons donc, mesdames, messieurs, ce matin avec Émergence Quotidien. Émergence Quotidien nous parle en grand titre du cancer du sein. Plus de 3000 nouveaux cas par an détectés au Cameroun. C'est du moins le bilan que fait ce matin pour nous Émergence Quotidien à sa page 3. En page 4, le journal nous parle de la lutte contre l'exportation frauduleuse de l'or, la sonamine autant pour moi à l'école de la Namibie et de la RDC. C'est du moins l'information que nous présente ce matin Émergence Quotidien à sa page 4. Dans le même journal, en page 2, le journal nous parle d'élection à l'ordre des médecins, l'incursion donc du MinSanté dans cette élection. Les détails sont effectivement en page 2 d'Émergence Quotidien ce matin. Toujours dans le même journal, en page 6, le journal nous parle de la communauté économique et monétaire de l'Afrique centrale et CEMAC. 4 banques donc du Cameroun dominent le marché du crédit. Nous clôturons, mesdames, messieurs, avec la nouvelle expression. La nouvelle expression ce matin nous parle en grand titre des enseignements supérieurs, les chercheurs basés et désillusionnés. C'est du moins ce que nous informe ce matin la nouvelle expression, et les détails sont en page 4 jusqu'à 5 de cette édition. En page 3, le journal nous amène dans la ville de Bafoussam au Cameroun pour nous parler ici d'un gang qui est donc dans la NAS dans cette partie du pays. Crise cardiaque, 5 conseils pour y parvenir. La liste donc des conseils pour y parvenir à éviter la crise cardiaque, les crises cardiaques au Cameroun, c'est dans cette édition de la nouvelle expression de la page 6 à la page 7. Toujours dans le même journal en page 3, le journal nous amène dans le Mayo Tchanaga pour nous parler ici de l'attribution de plus de 19 000 actes de naissance aux élèves dans cette partie du pays. Mesdames, Messieurs, voilà pour vos titres ce matin en langue française. Place à la découverte de ces titres en langue anglaise avec toi, Lasha.
Thank you, Gwladys Bomotonguina. Let's kickstart with the Guardian Post newspaper this morning, which is focusing on gas scarcity in the west region of the country. The paper tells us cooking gas scarcity hits Bafoussam, chief town of the west region of the country. The population of Bafoussam in the west region has for the past weeks been lamenting over the scarcity of cooking gas. They are now calling on authorities to intervene and address the situation. Most users of cooking gas have seen their requests to purchase it turned down in several sales points on grounds that it is not available. Get the details of that story on page 8 of this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper that you can find on the newspaper kiosk this morning in the country. Over there in Meme division of the southwest region, military blunder leaves Nigerian 2 sons dead in cocoa farm. The paper tells us further that a military operation in Diaka Bafo, a village in Mbonge subdivision, Meme division of the southwest region, has left a Nigerian man and his 2 sons dead in a cocoa farm. According to sources, a detachment of military officers stormed the interiors of Diaka Bafo on Wednesday, October 5, 2022, following a tip-off that at least 30 Ambazonia fighters were oppressing cocoa farmers in that area. A source is said to have further alerted security services that the fighters had seized cocoa from farmers and were drying in an oven. Details on page 3 of this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. Let's talk about business operators who are decrying mass smuggling of rice into neighboring countries. Cameroonian business operators in the rice sector are crying out over what they say is the rising trend of smuggling the basic commodity to neighboring country. And we are told that according to them, this affects mostly rice produced under controlled modern conditions and under a project to improve rice production in Cameroon sponsored by the Japanese government, as the paper puts it. We continue to talk other issues. This time around, we are taking you to Cameroon Insider. Cameroon Insider, a newspaper this morning, is interested in floods in the far north region of the country. This time around, thousands in distress as government steps in. We are told Territorial Administration Minister Paul Atanganji this week led a mission to Yagwa in the far north region of the country to hand relief items to thousands of people who have lost their homes and property to excessive waters after torrential rains. Meanwhile, together with local administrative officials and some elite, Atanganji 2 days ago paid a walking visit around the dike area in Maga to assess the impending risk and get first-hand information regarding those that are living in that area, especially the locals of that area. Full details of that story on page 3 of this edition of Cameroon Insider newspaper. And Cameroon Insider newspaper is also interested in cancer or breast cancer this morning. October is pink. Breast cancer is the most prevalent in Cameroon, according to the paper. For 20% out of 39 persons that are being affected with cancer or infected with cancer in this country are mostly women, and the women, of course, suffering from breast cancer, as per what the paper is saying. And the Cameroon Society of Cardiology and Pathology, they have reviewed that over 20% of the 39,000 cancer cases in the country are breast cancer, and measures are being taken this month, that is October, which is pink month, to raise awareness when it comes to the cancer cases of the country, or people who are living with cancer in the country and measures to curb the spread or the cases that may be rising in Cameroon. Get full details of that story concerning the breast cancer cases in Cameroon in this edition of Cameroon Insider newspaper. Africa Continental Free Trade Area preferential trade begins in earnest, writes Cameroon Insider newspaper. And the paper tells us that Cameroon's first shipment to Ghana under the new agreement comprised dried pineapples, ginger, tea and others. They were produced by a startup company, Jig Afetex. Jig Afetex is the new company, the company that produced this first shipment that was sent to Ghana under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, as we are told. Thank you for watching Televias on My Media Prime. We are back in the studio to continue with our discussions this morning. And of course, this morning we are joined by Syveinus, Dr. Syveinus, Sama Syveinus, who is coming all the way from Nigeria. He's with us in the studio. He's been participating on Skype, but this morning we are having him live in the studio. Good morning, Doctor, and welcome once again.
Good morning, Mr. Lasha Kingsley. Good morning, Mrs. Gwladys, and good morning to your millions of televiewers across the globe. Permit me use this your panel to send a special good morning to my people from Bamenda and Goketunja division, Balikumbat subdivision, and Balikumba village in particular. And permit me equally pay special allegiance to the most powerful peace crusader of Balikumba subdivision, which is the fond of Balikumbat, Ba Ganya in the Tet, who is a peace crusader, and he has been fighting this cause for a while. And I'm using this opportunity to invite many of us who are equally interested in peacemaking to join the ongoing football tournament, which is aimed at promoting peace in Balikumbat subdivision. And I equally want to appreciate the coordinators in the person of Dr. Pefela, Nyuga, and Mr. Theodore, who are working hand in glove to make sure that the peace tournament come to its fulfillment.
Comment va le Nigeria?
Bonjour, le Nigeria est bien, et avec les grandes nouvelles qu'on reçoit depuis hier avec la libération de l'un des leaders du mouvement séparatiste du Nigeria, Nnamdi Kanu. Donc le Nigeria est en parfaite ambiance ce matin.
You're expecting that same happens in Cameroon?
Yes, it depends on the
Our
context.
own there at Kondigi Maximum Security Prison. You are championing peace, you are talking peace, and the division, the elites coming from the division where you also hail from, they are championing a move to bring back peace in Gokutunja division. And we know Gokutunja, what is happening in Gokutunja. Are you passing the same message to government for the release of Sisiku, Ayuk Tabe and Co? That could be maybe a starting point for appeasement.
Yes, Mr. Lasha Kingsley, right from the law, the book of the law, that is in the Bible, and even the human right. Nobody has a right to deprive anybody of his own liberty. But it now depends on the context. The case of Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, similar compared to that of Mr. Sisiku, may be similar, but each country have their own system of functioning. So Nigeria operated with its own system and judged that Nnamdi Kanu was to be acquitted. And maybe if Cameroon follow his own context and notice that Mr. Sisiku Ayuk Tabe was supposed to be sentenced, I think the law is taking its own course. But if you ask me as a person, I would have loved that same spirit should be brought in the country so that peace should reign. Because whenever there is liberty from any particular zone, I think it's an avenue for peace to reign in that particular area. So the Cameroon government should equally think toward that direction while respecting the law equally. Thank you.
Yes, another military blunder this time around in Bonge subdivision, Meme division of the Southwest region, where a Nigerian man and two of his sons were killed by the military, as per the information that the Guardian Post is relaying this morning. And this came shortly after the information was sent to the military, notifying the military of the presence of over 30 Ambazonia fighters who were oppressing cocoa farmers in that village in Bonge subdivision.
Actually, Mr. Lasha Kingsley, I appreciate the fact that you precise that in Nigeria. But personally, my emphasis is not on who is killed and where is the person from. My personal emphasis is on the number of people that are killed every day. It can be anybody, it could have been me, it can be any other person from any other environment. So because when we preside Nigeria, to Nigerians who listen to it, they may think that it was a planned act to eliminate their own citizens. But I think the Nigerian man, and I use this opportunity to wish him rest in peace, and equally special condolence to his own family, but he was victim of circumstances. So at this juncture, the problem should not be whether the military came in or not. I don't have any problem with the military, because the military are working according to the instruction given to them by the state. I have problem with the people on ground, the elite of those different localities. Anytime I'm given opportunity to talk about this thing, I always hold the elite responsible, because the population are the children of the elite. And I want to beg on elite, whenever they want to talk about the Anglophone crisis in their respective areas, let them keep aside their political posture, their political cap, and let them talk to their citizens as one people. Let them abstain from grammar, and let them talk to their people, even with the vernacular. When I want to talk to my people in Balikumba village, where I'm coming from, I discuss with them in English, in my native language, for them to have that feeling of familiarity. Let them know that is their father and their mother talking to them. So I think the elite should communicate with their people.
When you say you blame the elite, and this information was sent to the military by other citizens or villagers that saw or witnessed the oppression on cocoa farmers by the people who say they were fighting to protect the very villagers that they were oppressing. They were seizing their cocoa and, drying and auctioning it.
Yeah, Mr. Lasha, this is an aftermath. These are consequences. There's a cause. What led the people to do that, to that cause? Before now, late in 2010 and 2011, I used to visit those parts of that part of the country, and incidents of this nature don't usually take place there. I have slept in Bonge, I've been in Kokebomo, I've been in Muyenge Trouble and all those cocoa producing areas. The youth of those areas used to be very active in their farms. So something happened, and it led to what all of us were talking about today. So now the cause is disoriented, because as I always say, the quest for Southern Cameroon liberation is, and for whoever remain an ideology, the way we go about it will define whether or not we are fighting a just cause, or we are in a business, in a war business. Because when the people go and harass the population that they claim that they are fighting for, it bastardizes the cause, both locally, nationally, and internationally. The fighters, if they wish to work cocoa, or they wish to do business in cocoa, let them go to the farm. Let them drop the guns and go to the farm. There's no need of fighting for a cause with the aim of satisfying general interest, and at the same time you penalize the people that you are fighting, you claim that you are fighting for them. And I think that is one of the reasons why both the international community, the local community, they are not in total support of the cause, because the people that are fighting for that cause are instead maltreating the same people they think that they are fighting for their sake.
Don't you also think that the international community is also into this, how do I even put it, they are supporting the people who are, championing the move in those conflict-stricken regions of the country? I'm talking about those who are residing abroad, and the international community. When we talk about international community, we are talking about UN, we are talking about other Western countries that are hosting some of these ringleaders, and they are championing violence from those countries. Don't you think it is kind of hypocrisy on the part of the international community that are not supporting what they are doing openly, but indirectly they are supporting it?
Mr. Lasha, there's an often saying that the pain for others is gain for others. The UN is an organization. We will have membership, and members are coming from diverse countries who have international business deals. How do guns enter the country? those guns are produced by some nations who are purely capitalist. So to them, it's a business avenue for them to liquidate their goods, both the bullets and other aspects. Now, talk about hypocrisy. Yes, I'm totally for the cause of hypocrisy, because any country, including America or London or whoever, who may claim that they are against the cause in Southern Cameroon, they are the one hosting the propagandists. I think that is pure demonstration of hypocrisy. Because if they really want peace in Cameroon, they have to start by questioning those propagandists who are residing in that country. So me, I concur, I agree, that is total hypocrisy. But those countries who are business countries, who produce guns, to them it's an avenue for business to prosper. So I don't have any problem with them. They are doing their businesses. So any businessman is looking for customers. And the reason why they produce those guns is for those guns to be sold.
So we the foolish customers.
Par où est-ce que ces armes-là passent? Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas le contrôle douanier? Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas des gens dans les frontières? Comment est-ce que ces armes arrivent entre les mains de ces personnes?
Oui, justement, madame, il y a généralement par le quartier que s'il n'y a pas d'ennemi à l'intérieur et l'ennemi de l'extérieur ne pourra pas avoir une force. Okay. Ça veut dire que votre propre ennemi émane d'abord de l'intérieur. D'accord. Donc, je suis pour ceux qui pensent que il y a un business à l'intérieur. Permettez-moi de citer l'honorable Kavaïgué dans l'une de ses sessions parlementaires. Il avait dit que Boko Haram est parmi nous lorsqu'il parlait de l'affaire de Boko Haram. Donc, moi, je suis pour ceux qui pensent que des empoisonniers sont dans le gouvernement. Okay. Parce que les armes, comme vous dites, ne peuvent pas entrer dans le pays sans le consentement de certaines autorités internes. Parce qu'il y a dans tous les secteurs, tous les circuits, il y a la douane, il y a Y. Comment est-ce que ces armes entrent au pays? Donc, c'est un problème.
Parce qu'on voit de plus en plus qu'ils ont des armes sophistiquées.
Oui, sophistiquées.
But don't forget that we have porous border with Nigeria. You go up in the northwest region, far northwest region. Let's put it. We have to put it.
Mr. Lasha, there's no porous border in Cameroon. All those borders have security agents. We have.
But do we have enough to be able to secure the long borders that we have?
The government should be held responsible for that. If there's not enough agents to secure the borders, I think recruitment should be launched to train people that can take.
Parce qu'on parle quand même d'une situation qui met le pays en crise pendant plusieurs années déjà aujourd'hui. Donc effectivement, comme vous êtes en train de le dire, il faudrait peut-être amplifier au niveau de nos frontières la sécurité peut-être.
Oui, justement, il faut amplifier la sécurité parce que s'il n'y a pas suffisamment des hommes, le gouvernement peut lancer le recrutement et former les hommes pour cette cause. J'étais dans des distances que moi je dis généralement que lorsque la maison de voisin est en feu, c'est un signe que la vôtre est en danger. Ceux qui pensent qu'ils sont sécurisés, peut-être parce que la nature a horreur de vie et la nature les a favorisés d'une façon ou d'une autre où ils sont, et ils pensent qu'ils vont utiliser leur pouvoir pour faire des affaires contre la joie des autres. Il faut qu'ils sachent qu'il y a la justice divine. Les gens souffrent. Notre frère nigérien qui est décédé est venu au Cameroun se chercher. Et aujourd'hui, il n'est plus en vie. Son seul problème était de venir au Cameroun pour faire ses affaires. Quelle image que ça donne aux Nigériens qui sont aussi... Nous avons aussi des frères, les Camerounais. Moi, par exemple, je vis au Nigeria. Et quand un Nigérien entend que son frère est mort dans mon pays, quelle image qu'il aura vis-à-vis de moi. Donc moi, je supplie ceux qui sont en position de force d'essayer de mettre fin à cette guerre. C'est un problème qui peut être résolu. Okay. Il faut juste la volonté collective.
Okay. Maître Alex is joining us as well. Good morning, Maître Alex, and welcome. Apparently, Maître Alex is not getting us. We hope our technician fixes the line. while we get back to Maitre Alex. Doctor, let's continue with our discussion this morning while hoping Maitre Alex joins us. And other papers are talking about what is happening up north, where Minister Paul Atanganje went to assist flood victims with President Paul Biya's relief. And this happens almost, every year. The minister is always up north. Does it mean that we don't have preventive measures that we can put in place to stop these floods that is always hitting those parts of the northern, villages in the northern region?
Yeah, I want to first of all start by thanking the head of state for that humanitarian gesture and his close collaborator, Mr. Atanganje, who is always in the terrain for that cause. Asking to know whether there are preventive measures, to me, I said it is seemingly not impossible, but it's difficult, though it's a process. Because the issue of flood is a natural disaster. It happens everywhere in Africa. Nigeria, where I'm coming from, I believe that it's worse than in Cameroon. So the assistance is welcome, but if there are other measures that can be put in place to help prevent the happening, it will be better. But issue of flood, there are natural disasters. We know about the climate change, which can promote or give an avenue for those happenings. Heavy rainfall, we cannot accept otherwise. They can often say in the village that, in fact, when we were growing, we were told that there are some people in the village that can have the power to stop rain. But now, I don't think there's any evidence. So we cannot say that we can fight against natural disaster. President Paul Biya nous talk about le cataclysme naturel. Ce sont des choses qui sont un peu difficiles à gérer, mais progressivement, sûrement, avec le temps, avec les procédures qui sont mises en place pour lutter contre le changement climatique et tout ça, je pense que la situation peut être améliorée avec le temps.
Okay.
For now, we appreciate the action of the government.
Let's find out once again if Maitre Alex is getting us once again. If you are listening, Maitre Alex, we are talking about military blunder once again in the main division of the Southwest region. A Nigerian and two of his sons lost their lives in that operation. That was to fish out over 30 Ambazonia fighters seizing cocoa from farmers in that area. Gwladys, let's move on.
Effectivement, c'est compliqué aujourd'hui d'avoir Maître Alex Differ. Alors, nous allons continuer ce matin, docteur, avec l'info à chaud. L'info à chaud ce matin nous révèle qu'il y a 915 agents publics de l'État qui ont été rayés des effectifs.
Oui. Premièrement, j'apprécie d'abord cet acte parce que si ces 915 agents étaient tous des salariés, et si vous multipliez leur salaire par le nombre de mois qu'ils ont eu à travailler, vous allez comprendre que ce sont ceux-là même qui pillent l'État. Donc le mouvement de l'État, l'intention est bonne, mais à quel extent, à quel niveau est-ce qu'il peut continuer ce mouvement-là? Est-ce qu'en cours, parce que par moment, il y a des personnes qui ne sont pas encore touchées. Et lorsqu'ils sauront que ce mouvement va les approcher, ils pourront créer une forme de situation pour arrêter ces mouvements. Parce qu'on a entendu parler de l'effort du ministre des Finances qui avait engagé ces mêmes procédures. Mais je ne sais pas si c'est la suite ou alors c'est une autre...
Ça donne la suite parce qu'on parle ici d'opération de comptage physique du personnel de l'État.
Et bon, là, c'est un mouvement à apprécier. Et surtout, j'insiste, lorsque on apprécie d'abord le résultat. Et aussi, il faut que... On a contacté 915, comme vous dites. Est-ce que c'est seulement 915 personnes?
C'est la question à $1 million.
Ça veut dire que, supposons que c'est en cours, c'est un processus.
Oui.
Là, ça va commencer avec...
Elle est 915.
Ça va pas commencer avec 900, ça va commencer avec 100. On a répété 100, 200 à 900. Espérons qu'on pourra détecter même 1 million ou 2 millions. Parce que je vous dis, Gwladys, nous avons des fonctionnaires fictifs au Cameroun qui aperçoivent des salaires chaque mois, mais ne sont jamais en service. Et aussi, comme c'est une mafia, moi j'ai eu l'habitude de parler de mafia organisée. Et ils sont dans un cercle de produits de mangement. Ça veut dire qu'il y a des personnes qui touchent peut-être 300 000 et ils ont eu des opportunités ailleurs, peut-être à l'étranger. et ils disent à leur chef de service, ou je ne sais pas, ceux qui sont comme leurs supérieurs, ils départagent ces montants, que bon, moi je ne serai pas là. Dans les 300 000 que je paie chaque mois, je vais te donner 100 ou je vais te donner 200 000 par mois. Donc ça fait en sorte que leur matricule fonctionne et chaque mois ils ont leur argent. Donc il faut faire le suivi. Ce système de comptable physique est la bienvenue. Parce qu'en réalité, ça va exposer plusieurs personnes. Et vous allez comprendre, vous allez savoir, il y a certaines personnes même que dans les 915, certains ne sont même pas présents. Ça veut dire que les gens qu'on a détectés ne sont même pas là. Certains sont étrangers, certains sont aux États-Unis, certains sont un peu partout dans le monde entier, certains font leur business. Donc, et aussi, l'équipe qui est mise en place. Moi, j'encourage l'État à valoriser cette équipe qui est mise en place. Parce qu'ils peuvent aussi être corrompus. Si je touche 500 000 et toi qui viens me contrôler, tu touches 200 000 au mois et tu constates peut-être que je ne suis pas présent, je suis capable de te dire, bon, mon gars, laisse passer le dossier-ci. Ça, c'est le langage du quartier. Laisse passer le dossier-ci et je vais te donner 200 000. Je vais te donner 500 000. Entre 200 000 que tu touches par mois et quelqu'un qui va donner subitement 200 000. Je pense que, peu importe, tu peux être corrompu, même si c'est pour 2 mois, même si c'est pour 3 mois. Donc, ceux qui sont mis dehors pour cette mission doivent être bien gérés, comme on dit souvent au quartier.
Donc, vous êtes en train tantôt de dire qu'entre guillemets, que leur grille salariale doit être consistante.
Consistant et aussi avec des avantages réguliers. Des avantages, bon, comme on dit souvent au quartier, réguliers et irréguliers. Parce que s'ils n'ont pas des avantages réguliers, ils seront victimes des avantages irréguliers.
Mais docteur, est-ce que ce n'est pas le fait que peut-être les employés ou bien les employés et les agents de la fonction publique au Cameroun sont très mal payés qui encourage le fait que certains décident d'aller à l'étranger, faire des business, faire des affaires pendant que leur matricule continue de tourner, puis ils tournent avec, ils vivent avec?
Personnellement, moi, je ne suis pas pour la cause des employés mal payés. Parce qu'aucun être humain est satisfait. Par moment, des personnes qui disent qu'ils ne sont pas bien payés, c'est parce qu'ils veulent vivre en dessus de leurs moyens. Madame Gwladys, on peut payer 1 million ou 2 millions le mois. Mais vous avez des ambitions qui surpassent 1 million ou 2 millions. Forcément, votre rémunération va toujours être en deçà
des vos attentes. Mais docteur, au Cameroun, on a des fonctionnaires qui sont incapables, je dis bien incapables de pouvoir s'acheter un lopin de terre quelque part, qui sont même incapables pour la plupart de subvenir aux besoins minimums de leurs enfants dans leur maison.
Justement, j'étais donc venir pour dire que oui, nous savons très bien que avec le coût de la vie, le salaire peut être insuffisant par rapport à la réalité du marché et du terrain. Nous sommes d'accord avec ça. Mais conclure qu'ils sont généralement mal payés, laissez-moi vous dire que nous avons des personnes aux États-Unis qui se plaignent toujours du système salarial. Allez en France, chaque jour, il y a des grèves aussi des employés. Ça veut dire qu'ils sont aussi mal payés par rapport à leur définition d'être mal payés. Ma part d'encouragement, c'est quoi? On ne peut pas... L'État fonctionne aussi par rapport à ses moyens. Et c'est justement, je reviens encore sur le fait de démanteler les fonctionnaires fictifs, parce que c'est eux qui pillent l'État. Et il y a une somme d'argent qui doit être peut-être perçue par certaines personnes, par certains employés réguliers. Mais parce qu'il y a des employés fictifs, ils perçoivent l'argent qu'ils ne doivent pas avoir. Donc le montant qui devait être utilisé pour ajouter ou augmenter le salaire des autres sont perçus par ceux qui ne travaillent même pas. Donc l'État doit essayer, par rapport à leur plan budgétaire et autres, à augmenter le salaire des employés. Mais mon encouragement aussi à ceux qui sont payés, c'est qu'il faut qu'ils vivent, ils se basent pour vivre par rapport à leurs moyens.
Another massive fraud was uncovered at the level of the Ministry of Finance, where we have only 365 days in a year, but people go on mission for 600 days.
It is really funny.
600 days that they go on mission.
But
we have only 365
The question
days.
is that who are those that are signing their mission order? The person who no employee or no civil servant can go on mission without a mission order. So those that are signing the mission order should be held responsible. I insist on la politique du management. That is the system. I'll go on mission. If I have to go on mission, I have 1 million. I give you 400,000. Just sign and put the stamp. And it's an often saying in French that la chèvre brute laquelle elle est attachée. So these people who are responsible for signing those orders, to them is irregular advantages. So those that are signing the mission order should be held.
But where do they keep their conscience? You know very well that we have 365 days in a year. You pick your pen to sign mission allowance for 600 days. Is that possible? How is that possible?
So you talk about conscience. A devil who has an ambition to destroy somebody keeps aside conscience. He has no conscience at all. So those people, I call them devils. The Bible makes us to understand who is a devil. A devil is somebody who comes to destroy. It's not a spirit. They are human beings that have the intention to destroy, to kill, to frustrate. So anybody who has an intention to frustrate and kill anybody, to frustrate somebody, is a devil. So that means Syveinus, I can be a devil if I have an ambition to destroy Mr. Lasha Kingsley. So it's not a spirit. So these are devils. Devils that have ambition to destroy the country, destroy the population, frustrate lives, and render everybody miserable. So when they are held, they should be dealt with accordingly. And I still insist on those that are put in charge to follow those people. Because they can be held today, we talk about 300 people. Tomorrow you see them, they are free. They are still going to the office like nothing happened. And you hear them say, le pays nous appartient. So let those that are put in charge be well remunerated so they can freely do their job.
Ok. Parlons à présent on parle de la gratuité de l'école primaire au Cameroun, mais l'œil du Sahel nous révèle ce matin que depuis 20 ans qu'on a déclaré au Cameroun que l'école primaire est gratuite, l'école est plutôt payante.
On dit souvent que les gens ne font pas ce que vous dites.
Ok.
Les gens font ce que vous contrôlez ou bien vous surveillez. Moi, moi personnellement, j'ai fréquenté, il n'y a pas une année que je suis à l'école, je n'ai pas payé.
Okay.
Je ne sais pas à quelle période ces déclarations ont été faites. Vous avez dit 20 ans.
20 ans après,
l'école
est toujours payante.
C'était en période d'une campagne politique ou alors c'était juste un enthousiasme venant de celui qui avait fait ces déclarations.
Okay.
Mais la question est que ça a été dit. Est-ce qu'il y a un suivi? S'il n'y a pas de suivi, permettez-moi, Madame Gwladys, vous êtes là à l'heure-ci, vous respectez vos heures de travail parce que vous êtes contrôlé. Du moment qu'on dit, Madame Gwladys, allez travailler et personne n'est derrière vous, vous faites ce que vous voulez. Donc, il faut un système de suivi. Quand le gouvernement fait une déclaration, il faut des équipes. Il faut qu'il mette des équipes en place pour faire ce suivi. Ça, c'est de moi, je ne parle pas dans le côté de l'école gratuite. Parce que moi, je ne suis pas pour ceux qui encouragent même la gratuité de l'école. Moi, je ne suis pas pour cela. Pourquoi? Parce que généralement, on a une conception en Afrique. Quand le jeu est gratuit, on ne valorise plus.
D'accord.
Ça veut dire que quand c'est gratuit, même les parents, la conscience pour encourager les enfants dans l'école ne serait même plus là. Moi, par exemple, s'il y a une école, je ne peux pas mettre mon enfant dans un établissement qui est gratuit. Parce que
they are paying those government is the one paying those teachers now.
Yes, Mr. Lasha can say government is the one paying those people. But the degree of follow-up, let me take a simple example. I'm not doing any advertisement for private institution, but all of us, we know that private institution and government institution, the degree of follow-up in private institution is not the same with the one of government institutions. If you go to private institution, you will notice that there is this system of laissez-faire.
Mais pourtant, docteur, ces enseignants qui sont dans le privé sont plutôt mal payés au regard du salaire quand même de ceux qui sont payés par l'État.
Oui, il y a un suivi, j'ai pas de suivi.
Oui.
Les enseignants des établissements privés sont moins payés par rapport à ceux qui sont
the question is that the law is there. The President Paul Biya has declared that primary schools are supposed to be free in the country. Why are those headmasters and headmistresses taking
it is because
15,000 francs, 20,000 francs for registration?
Yeah, it is because the law, as you said, the law is there, but there is no follow-up. People don't do what you say. People do what you control. If the President Paul Biya made that declaration 20 years ago and a system was put in place to follow up the declaration, I don't think that those people would have been succeeding in that business. So in the context of free education, I'm for those. I don't promote free education, personally. Why? There's a follow-up that the teachers, since first of all, the parents know that their children are going to school for free. first of all, there's a level of value. We are African people. We value what we pay for. If somebody give me something free of charge, the level that the value I place on that thing is not comparative to when I spend my money. So if the government thought was that there should be free education, let there be a follow-up. But the system of free education cannot take our children to the destiny that we expect. People are prepared to pay an amount of money, irrespective of how much, in private schools than to pay a minimum amount of money in government schools. That's the reason why private institutions are succeeding and parents are happy irrespective of how much they pay. They are happy paying it because they know that their children will come back with the expected result.
Okay, the expected result. Maitre Alex Ndivek, I don't know if you are hearing me now.
Yes, I can hear you a little bit faintly.
Okay. Yes, we are talking about another blunder coming from the military in Bongé in the southwest region, where Nigerian and two of his sons were killed in an operation to fish out over 30 Ambazonia fighters who were seizing cocoa from farmers.
Yeah, my problem, I've read the headlines from a newspaper, and to me, the way I look at things is the way of governance, because yes, sometimes military, they can blunder, but the question I'm asking, we have to first distinguish between criminals and Ambazonia fighters. Because it doesn't mean when they say they are Ambazonians in a coffee farm. First of all, what you have to do, you have to send people who are not armed officers to investigate. You have Cameroon, they have intelligence. You don't just hear Ambazonia and just jump there and go and kill people. In the UK where I live, we have a police officer who don't carry arms. When there is something, they send these people who don't carry arms, they investigate the matter. When they assess the situation, that's when they call firearm.
You go and investigate a terrorist with bare hands, Maitre Alex. You go after a terrorist.
You are the one jumping into a conclusion that it's a terrorist. You have allegation, you have alleged. This is where the Anglophone problem comes.
No, you yourself, you have given a definition. You have given a definition of a terrorist.
You cannot call somebody a terrorist if a court haven't found.
No, I'm going by your definition.
So
Maitre, I'm going by your definition. You said on this platform that
I can define a thief. I can define a drunkard. I can define somebody who assaults somebody. That's a definition. And in any democracy, it's only the court of law that have to prove if somebody is a terrorist or not. They can accuse you. They can make allegation against you. But it's only in the court of law that they can prove that this person was a terrorist. Allegation is different from finding somebody guilty in the court of law. So we have to distinguish these things. We cannot just jump into conclusion. It's sad. One of the functions of the police and the military officer is to preserve lives. Again, I don't like this issue that anything will happen in the Cameroon, they say separatists. One, these people in the cocoa farm, who are the people training them? Which link do they have with Fongodi Dinka? I know Fongodi Dinka. Fongodi Dinka in 1984, he started Ambazonia. He has never called for arms. So if you are not under Fongodi Dinka's organization, you're not an Ambazonian. You cannot hijack a name and call yourself from something. What I'll tell you on your program, thieves have metamorphosed themselves in the Cameroons. You don't hear anymore about thieves, criminals. Everybody now is Ambazonia because why? It's a lucrative business. So because somebody says it's an Ambazonian, doesn't mean it's an Ambazonian. I've often made this on your program. If you are an Ambazonian, you're fighting for the people of Southwest and Northwest. You will not be killing, raping people, asking money for ransom. You will be heading to Yaoundé to go and take over from Mr. Biya. So anybody who is going around harassing people in Northwest and Southwest, you are a criminal.
Okay, Maitre, thank you. You're a criminal. Let's talk about Atanganji again in the far north region. You came in a bit late, but we have to treat those topics that we earmarked for today. Atanganji was in the far north once again for floods, and he went to distribute President Paul Biya's gifts to victims of floods in Yagwa, in the far north region of the country.
Mr. Lasha, what I would say here, Mr. Atanganji is Minister of Territorial Administration. They have their governors there. They have their DOs there. Must Mr. Atanganji go to, is it the north, to go and hand something from Mr. Biya? Is it Mr. Bia or the government? We should stop confusing a country with an individual. I don't know how much Mr. Bia earns that he sends gifts to people, send people to go to Mecca, send people. He's a president of a country and he runs a government. I want to hear that the government is sending a relief fund to the north because of flood, not Mr. Bia. Mr. Bia is a president, he runs a country. I don't know, Mr. Bia is not a businessman. He hasn't got that much money except he's doing what the Mendozi teaches as well, Mebera, Ondongdong and the rest, except he's doing what they are doing. As Mr. Bia, as a president, has he got that money to be giving money to people? Either he says that he has used taxpayers' money to help people, which I will appreciate that, not Mr. Bia, because Mr. Bia is not a businessman. He has been civil servant all his life, and I know how much civil servants they earn in the Cameroon.
Okay. Gwladys, last question.
Maître Alex, nous allons clôturer ce matin avec cette histoire d'actes de naissance, plus de 19 000 actes de naissance distribués aux enfants à l'extrême nord Cameroun, et ce, par le MinSanté, Manaouda Manachi, lui-même en personne.
If I understand you well, you're talking about distribution of birth certificate.
Yeah.
Yes, again, I will tell you when it comes to birth certificate, it's rather disappointing because when I quote England, it's not because it's perfect, it's because the system is good. Immediately, if a child is born, automatically your birth certificate is there in a public record. You can go to your local council, it is there. When you see somebody who is a minister is somebody who runs a ministry. We mix our function a lot in Cameroon. You see, a minister is acting like a parliamentarian in Cameroon. There are things that when you go to your local constituency, the people who do those things are parliamentarian. A minister is working for the entire nation. We don't hear about our parliamentarians. They disappear. They come only after election. The things that parliamentarians should be doing, that's what these guys they are doing in Cameroon, the ministers. You don't go and give people birth certificate. Immediately a child is born, automatically the hospital have to liaise with the local council or the registry, and they have to register it automatically. It's not something that a minister will leave, a health minister, when there's smallpox, is it monkeypox, there are other illness. He should be at his desk, working, looking about the health department, but he's there to go and give birth certificate. What is birth certificate? How does it help in the Ministry of Health? Sometimes we have to know our job description and function. If he wants to go for a holiday or to go to the north to spend some time, because I know in Cameroon, which I should make this clear, when you're a minister, you go out of the ministry or Yaoundé, you go somewhere else, you have this prim, you call it prim, they give you some money. So sometimes they have to create things to move out from Yaoundé so that they should earn that money. I believe a lot of people who work in the Cameroons, they do that, directors, other top civil servants, they have to make sure they displace themselves from where they are working in order to put money.
Maître, are you saying that as an individual, an elite of his locality, he doesn't have that right as an individual to go distribute any kind of
Mr. Lasha is not a right. He's not a member of parliament, and I've told you how it works. When you die, when you married or a child is born, it is automatically the hospital. You have to go to your local council. Local council, your birth certificate is there. It's in the public record. Anybody can see it. It's not a secret. Birth certificate, marriage certificate, death certificate. These things are automatic in the system. We don't need a minister of health to go and be giving birth certificate. Is it somebody who have graduated the first degree or master's degree that you want to hand something to the person? The way we run that country,
there are thousands of Cameroonians who don't have that privilege. Children in that part of the country who don't have the privilege of being...
To have a birth certificate, it should be a privilege, Mr. Lasha. How can it be a privilege that you have birth certificate? It's your right. It's not a privilege. Okay. It should be given to you automatically. It's your right. You don't need to pass any qualification. That's what identifies you as a citizen of a country. And now,
there are some children who are born home. There are some children
just been graduated from Boya University or Yaoundé University.
Maître, there are some children who are born home. They were not born in hospital. They were born home, so they don't have the privilege of being established a birth certificate. They don't even have a health
that's
center
why I'm
in their
saying that
locality.
the government discriminates. Even if you were born anywhere, Mr. Lasha, in the Western world, there are children who were born in their home. There are children who were born in the ambulance. The problem is that one citizen have been increased. Okay, if you don't know the children or people who have been people who have given birth to as citizens in the country, then how do you go and make an electoral register? I'm not saying a 1-year-old will vote. If you cannot organize those things, you have to know the people who were born each month, each day, each year. They have to be there in a registry, which is open to the public. But if we don't know how many kids are being delivered every day, it tells you what happens to the electoral registry.
Okay, thank you, Maitre Alex, though you came in late. Thank you for your contribution this morning. And we end with you, Doctor. You have 30 seconds to give your contribution.
Thank you very much. I want to a little bit contradict with Maitre, because any gesture, that's any humanitarian gesture, should be uploaded. I don't have anything to, it must not be related to politics, because when he insists that those acts must be carried out by a politician, by parliamentarians, he's directly limiting humanitarian gestures only to politicians. Personally, I appreciate the action of the minister, Manauda, not as a minister of health, but as an individual who judged it normal to give birth certificate to children who were not privileged to have birth certificate from birth. We don't, when we are handling the consequences, we handle the consequence before we re-examine and prevent it from reoccurring. So the minister is in a good gesture, not as a minister of health, but as an individual, as an elite of his community. So it's a laudable gesture. We need to be uploaded. Okay, thank you for coming, Doctor. Thank you to Maitre Alex Ndive. Thank you, televiewers of My Media Prime, for watching the very last edition of the program for the week, which was produced by Christain Tebong. We were Gwladys Bomotonguina, myself, Lasha Kingsley. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.